My father and mother spoke a lot during World War II when my father was in the Pacific and my mother was back east with relatives. And they spoke of a new beginning after the war, a fresh start where they could raise their family. And they, like many others, like to read books. And one of the favorite books or authors was Bernard DeVoto, who wrote this glowing account of the West in a very attractive, romantic fashion about how the West was this wonderful place, full of opportunity, full of wonderful things to be done. And the image was almost of white picket fences and the easy life. And so after World War II, they gathered their one son, my brother Chuck, in a car. And this was within a couple of months of my father's discharge from the Navy in 1946 and headed west. And they headed to a small town outside Portland called White Salmon. And the plan was to learn a little bit about agriculture by working in a friend's orchard while my father scouted out the surrounding countryside for some property to buy. Of course, during that interim, I came along and my father, John, built up some experience working in the orchard, which, I mean, it turns out to have been a bitter pill because he was working with lots of very toxic chemicals. Orcharding was very crude at that time, and arsenic and lead were some of the major chemicals that were used to control insects in the orchard. So this was kind of a tough way to start, although this was his apprenticeship. So he worked in the orchard for about 6 months, heard about this ranch for sale up in the Okanagan, got in a vehicle, drove up there, took one look at it, and said, you know, I better bring Sally. That was my mother up here to take a look at it. He went back down, brought her up there around Thanksgiving of 1946, and I was just about 3 months old. They hired a command car because there had been some early snow out at the ranch, and this was a lesson that they didn't really know at the time. They started out in the command car to get to the ranch, and they got stuck in a drift about halfway out. It took them some period of time to dig out and go back to Okanagan. My mother never got a chance to see the ranch before they bought it. When they arrived, and so they arrived back in spring of 1947 when they could actually take possession of the ranch and start the arduous chore of trying to make it livable and workable.